City of Chicago just released a $535 million tax proposal. New taxes. The main kicker, and what we're talking about today, is $416 million of that new tax proposed package is on cloud computing. The very thing that the governor of Illinois is saying that he wants to bring new business. Well, new business is AI, cloud computing, computer-generated stuff. You bump up that tax, you tax big tech even more, they're just going to leave. They're going to leave in droves. Let's get into it. Here we go. Someday we're going to look back and talk about our time that we had with Mayor Let's Go Brandon Johnson in Chicago, and we're going to look back fondly on how many podcasts we've had out of this individual. Because although this isn't directly his fault, it is his fault because he went after the head tax. He wanted to charge companies with over 500 employees $33 per month per employee in a head tax just for having employees. That is as progressive as it gets, right? He started off, I think, with $21 a month and then bumped it up to 33. And the 21 was if you had employees of 100 or more, smaller companies, but then bumped it up to the bigger companies. We're just going to go after the bigger companies. It's like he's specifically trying to get rid of all business. Doesn't really recognize that when you tax, upon layer upon tax, upon regulations, upon tax, business leaves. We're watching this all across the country. We are watching this in real time. I don't get it. It is so counterintuitive. You should be reducing these taxes to draw in more businesses to create that tax revenue. Instead, you're squeezing what you've already got, which isn't a lot left, business-wise. And those who are left are like, no, we're not doing this. We're out of here. We're out of here. Chicago adopts $16.6 billion budget, adds $535 in taxes. Nice. Chicago aldermen, for the first time, pushed through their own budget, rejecting the mayor's effort to impose a job-killing head tax. Seattle's going to do the same thing. Portland's already done it. I mean, California as a state is just rupturing people. I mean, Illinois, you got Chicago, Illinois, you got the East Coast, you got Boston, you got all kinds of these big liberal progressive cities absolutely just bleeding out money. And they're like, what do we do? Oh, new taxes. New taxes is the answer. After months of debate, Chicago's final $16.6 billion budget passed the city council 29-19 on December 20th. But without Mayor Brandon Johnson's $82 million head tax on businesses, question now is whether Johnson will veto a budget that was shy of the 34 votes. Nope, he didn't end up doing that. The plan includes $535 million in new taxes, and it's supposed to close the $1.15 billion gap. Well, and you know what's so crazy about all this stuff is that they're always passing off, well, we've got tax savings here. I feel like so much of it is just sleight of hand, right? It's nonsense. It's like, are you really getting that money? Are you really creating that savings? I don't think you are. I honestly don't think you are half the time. They're just, we're taking it from our rainy day fund and we're doing this and we're doing that. You guys should love it because, your taxes are going up. For the first time ever, city council aldermen sidelined the mayor to control the budget process. After rejecting Johnson's original budget proposal, aldermen instead passed their own plan. They just did an en route and said, no, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. Alderman's budget backed away from some of the mayor's more aggressive anti-growth proposals, but you've got this massive portion of the budget. Let's get down to it. Let's just take a quick peek at it. Here's Chicago's 2026 budget as passed. $416 million from cloud computing taxes. Does that make any? I mean, it's out there. Yeah, you can tag those companies for it, but what's the end result? You're not going to have any new computer-related cloud, internet, web service, AI, whatever it is. They're not going to come to town. They're not going to play ball because And you know what? Illinois, Chicago and Illinois, they aren't the only areas that are doing this kind of taxation. There's a handful of other states that do it as well on different varying levels. But for a state that is absolutely losing companies like there is no tomorrow, I just talked about Boeing. Basically closed out their last physical structure, the structure that Boeing moved from Seattle to put their headquarters in Chicago. You believe that Chicago was a good option not that long ago? 2000, what was that? 2002, 2001, something like that. Hey, let's go to Chicago. It seems pretty nice there. All right. It's a good business environment. And then a quick 25 years down the road, whatever it is, all of a sudden you're going, holy smokes. So we've got this massive cloud computing tax that is literally going to drive away the business that they should be so seeking. We've got a video gaming tax. We've got sports betting. We got a smart tax. We got a hemp tax. We got a yacht tax. We're going to tax them more for bringing their boats, big boats into the dock in Chicago. And that Marina Time's just going to go sky high. So you are literally pushing out the people who are responsible for bringing business in. Does that seem smart? I mean, it's very, very progressive. Meaning, you're looking to tax big business and you're looking to tax wealthy people. What's happening in California? There's that proposed billionaires tax, right? Everything over $1 billion gets taxed at 5% asset tax. And how many billionaires have left? I mean, there's just a string of them just lining up. Yep, we're out of here. We're gone. We're leaving. So we got a yacht tax. We got a vacant building tax. We got a shopping bag tax. I mean, you know what I mean? We got a liquor tax. Oh, gotta love the sin tax. We got ground transport tax. So you've got this going on. Meanwhile, you've got Chicago trying to raise hotel tax to the highest in America to boost tourism. Correct. I did full podcast on that. It is as awkward as it sounds. Let me get that right. Chicago trying to raise taxes to the highest in all of the land to get more people to come be tourists and rent a hotel room? Is that it's exactly what we're doing. So the fact that you've got $416 million out of 535 new proposed tax dollars, the fact that you've got that going on relative to this, it's not all that illogical, is it? It's like, this is what we're doing. This is what we think is going to help. If you read that headline 5 times, same. That's how this article literally starts off. If you read that and it sounded as weird to you as it did to me, it's because it is. Specifics in city-state governments can get confusing, but nope, not this situation in Chicago. This is as counterintuitive as it gets. Same thing with the cloud computing tax. But because it's big business, Chicago's okay with it. Leadership is okay with it. I mean, this is a state and city that can't work out how to keep the Chicago Bears in their city. They're going to move to Gary, Indiana. They're going to move to Indiana. More than likely. It's what's on the table right now. Because it's the same thing as what happened with the Seattle Supersonics. The Sonics, Seattle, couldn't guarantee funding for a new Seattle Center Coliseum, which is the key arena, which is now Climate Pledge Arena, because we've got a pledge towards the climate. Oh, we're so fancy here in Seattle. But in Chicago, it's more basic than that. You need to keep the Chicago Bears there. I mean, it's the Indiana Bears, the Gary Bears, whatever it's going to be. That doesn't have the same ring, does it? No, no. And they're going to stay the Chicago Bears. But, I mean, so we think, who knows? But when you've got a franchise as long history as Chicago Bears are, and you can't work out a way to keep them, that kind of tells you everything you need to know. We're okay with absolutely stripping out business. We're okay with taxing business. We're okay with policies that don't promote new business. We're okay with, we don't give an F about sports because it takes a lot of money. And that's what the state has basically said with the whole Chicago Bears thing is, well, given the budget, we don't have a lot of money to be just tossing around there for your silly little stadium. How much revenue does the Chicago Bears bring in? Yeah, collectively. And if you had a new stadium, do you think you might have some more people that would be able to afford some more tickets? There's some real wealthy folks in Chicago still. Even with how Chicago leadership is just trying to push them out the door. We don't need these pesky rich people. We just need their tax revenue. And they'll stay. They'll just take it. These people will just absolutely bend over and take it. But they don't. They don't. We have seen that en masse from Seattle. Businesses tax Amazon. Amazon moves people to Bellevue. That is ongoing heavy right now. You've got Microsoft coming back to this week, I believe. 3 days a week in office. Amazon already went back 5 days a week as of January, I think January of this year. Yeah, January 1st of this year, 5 days a week in office. Just basically full time, we're back in the office. Microsoft is doing the same thing. So Microsoft's been taking down some more office space. You don't have that problem necessarily in Chicago. You've got the opposite problem. You've got Boeing literally selling their interest in their original headquarters building after they left Seattle. They're like, nope, can't do it. We're moving to DC. We're moving to DC. So when you think that things are counterintuitive, they really are. They just flat out are. This is how that's going. And what will this look like down the road? Well, the citizens will pick up the tax bill, right? Record property tax increases slam Chicago homeowners as downtown owners see cuts, sinking loop office values. We talked about this one. So here's one of those other massive, massive topics coming out of Chicago, coming out of Let's Go Brandon Johnson, is the record property tax increases. So, part of taxing the big business is that the regular constituents have already been taxed to here. Just absolutely to the hilt. Record property tax increases slam Chicago homeowners as downtown owners see cuts. And literally their state assessor came right out and gave the city council a little how taxes work session. Sinking loop office values because there's no businesses there taking up this space. Sinking office values fuel a spike in Chicago residential bills, especially on the south and the west sides. And if you don't know Chicago geography, these are not areas where people are especially wealthy, typically minority owned. And, these are not the folks who have an extra 10K sitting in their pocket, just waiting to hand over to Let's Go Brandon Johnson so that he can do whatever it is that he's doing with, he's got to be able to pay for the criminal illegals. Got to be able to pay for all them because he was just Johnny on the spot. Oh, yeah, we'll take him. We'll take him. So that's how you end up with record property tax increases slam Chicago homeowners, is that you have a misguided spending policy. You don't bring in enough revenue. You're spending way too much. And then you make the constituents, just like here, have some record-paced increases. I think we're talking East Garfield was one of the neighborhoods. And then also in the south suburbs, you had somewhere around you had a 133% increase and you had a 98% increase, something like that, between a couple of different neighborhoods in Chicago. And overall, you had a 16.7% overall surge in Chicago. So just some absolutely mammoth numbers going on because businesses have left the building and they ain't coming back. So you're going to see more and more of this because you have to tax, whomever's left. You got some businesses left. Let's just jack up their fees. We'll see how this goes. And, if you're doubting how leadership is in Chicago, ex-Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot sued by bank over $11K in unpaid credit card bills, despite hefty salary. And she's making literally, high six figures. And she ended up taking out a couple $100,000 from her retirement funds which just made no sense at all. So Lightfoot reported in 2021, $402,000, but that same year she took out $210,000 in early distributions from her retirement savings to boost her mayor salary. So, just so much stuff going on that doesn't make any sense at all. And yet, when you look at it in the context of who's been the mayor in the past, how has their spending gone? You look at Tiffany Henyard, how did that spending go? You've just got a bunch of people that are not fiscally responsible, and they will literally put your city, put your county, put your state into the ground. And we are watching that in real time in Illinois, especially in Chicago. So as these taxes keep on going up, because they're going to have to, because you've got fewer and fewer businesses and people that want to deal with this who have money. They're just like, we're out. Like California, we're out of here. We're no go. And businesses specifically, because you've got that downtown core. You've got the employment, by bringing in all those new employees. Not going to see that if you keep taxing the absolute F out of exactly the kinds of industry that is going to turn around this next cycle where you're going to see hirings. But let's do the opposite. Let's play opposite day in Chicago, and we'll find out how that goes. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, because we're going to be talking about this again. We're going to talk about how this in real life has gone, and guaranteed you'll want to hear about it. So again, make sure you're subscribed. I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.